Oh hi! Now that I have everything hooked up in this office theater behind me, let me take you on a little tour. Okay, just to start off, these DIY acoustic panels that I built a while ago, I used them in the previous theater, but just to make it easier to go in and out of this space, I just kind of keep them over here when I'm not watching something. But when I am watching something, then I take both of them and I put them in between the surround backs just to give me some sort of a false back wall, I guess you could say, so that I can tame the frequencies even in the back of the soundstage. So yeah, just thought I'd show you that up front because I'm going to take them away. Okay, so let's start with the back. This is the right rear subwoofer. It is an SVS SB4000. That is the sealed version, which is kind of cool because it's a little bit quicker and tends to be just a little bit more aggressive because of that. So I kind of like it being able to add that kind of aggressive oomph to the whole situation compared to the other subwoofers that you will see. Although this other subwoofer is also sealed. It is the Starke SW12. And the reason that I have these particular ones in the back is because they have XLR inputs and outputs. And yeah, you can see over here, this is also XLR because they're about, I'd say 16 feet, 18 feet away from everything else in the front. But the cable itself is more than 16 feet, you know, to kind of wrap around things and go along the wall and then go along this wall and then connect. You always want to make sure you have a little bit of excess. So when I ordered these XLR cables for this theater in particular, I ordered 25-foot lengths just to make sure I had enough. You never want to come up short because that would suck. So they're a little bit longer than they need to be, but that's great because, I don't know if you're aware, RCA cables, the signal tends to degrade if it's longer than 20 feet. So I don't want to have any buzzing introduced. So that was one of the main reasons that I wanted the Marantz AV10 processor, because it has 4 subwoofer outputs and you can have either RCA or XLR outputs with those subwoofers. So I'm glad I have 2 subwoofers that accept XLR connections because I don't know if you're aware of this, but XLR cables being balanced, there is no signal degradation until you get past 200 feet. 20 feet with RCA versus 200 feet with XLR. So that's a big difference. So that's why I personally chose to have the rear subwoofers be connected via XLR so that I could use XLR cables and not have any worry of interference. Okay, moving on. Surround backs. These are the Aperion Audio Theatrus T65S Slim version. It is fairly slim, as you can see. With the surround backs and also the front wides, those are slim as well. Because typically in any ATMOS mix, the front wides and the surround backs are probably going to be one of the least active. Sometimes you don't even get front wide support with ATMOS. Just because Aperion Audio had a certain number of regular TC65s in stock and slims in stock. So I guess ideally I would have regular TC65s all around, but they just didn't have that in stock. So they accommodated me with some slims, which is totally fine. They still have the same mid-range drivers. They still have the same exact AMT tweeter. They still have the same size woofer. It's just that these are sealed. And if I take this off of the regular TC65, you'll notice they have these base ports here. And they are much deeper, probably about twice as deep. So yeah, T65 Slim, sealed with no base port, not sealed with a base port. This is the Valencia Oslo theater seat, which came with this tray here. It does recline. This headrest you can adjust as well. The lumbar you can adjust as well, comes in and out. So yeah, surrounds, T65s, surround backs, T65 Slim, front wides, T65 Slim, front soundstage, regular T65s for the front left, center, and front right. Front subwoofers are the Aperion Audio Bravus 12D2, which has a downward firing woofer, but also 2 passive radiators on either side. Noise. Height channels are all Aperion Audio TC65 Theatrus ATMOS speakers. I've got the front height left, center height for RO3D, front height right, middle height right, rear height right, rear height left, middle height left, and voice of God straight above the listening position, again for RO3D. And then I got 2 of these slanted racks so that I could put this equipment on it, have some of it elevated, keep it nice and cool by having lots of airflow. I don't really want to stack all these things right on top of each other. That would not be good. I'll put the link in the description. But on top, I've got an Apple TV 4K. I think this one's, it's not the latest version. I think it's generation 2 or generation 3, something like that. But it is connected with an SVS Premium HDMI 2.1 cable. Yeah, did you know SVS sells cables like that? And when you have expensive equipment, I highly recommend this or something like it. It is a power conditioner. This one is the AudioQuest PowerQuest 707. So everything up here, all of the amps, all of the components, preamp, etc., they all go into here just for cleaning up the audio signal if there's any interference in the electricity itself, and to protect it, to have something in between the electricity and the speakers, etc. So if there happens to be some crazy 100-year storm that rolls through, bunch of lightning and thunder, and it zaps the entire building, the electricity goes out, circuits are blown, this will protect it, because I don't want any surges going directly to the components, especially this bad boy. Okay, moving down, I've got my trusty LG UBK90 4K Blu-ray player, just in case. You always want to back up. I've had this for several years and it's been such a great 4K Blu-ray player. But then I upgraded to the Magnetar UDP 800, which has been fantastic so far. One of the nice things about this is that it's not only just a 4K Blu-ray player, but a media center pretty much. You can connect an external hard drive if you have a ton of FLAC or WAV or high-res music files on a hard drive. You can use the UDP 800 to control all of that. But also, it has a fantastic DAC inside of it. And what I've done is connected the XLR outputs, because it has both RCA and XLR analog outputs if I wanted to use the DAC inside here instead of in my Marantz AV10. Aperion Audio also sells XLR cables and RCA cables and speaker wire, etc. So I've taken the XLR cables from the analog outputs and I have plugged them into the analog inputs on the AV10. And then I can run the AV10 in direct mode or pure mode, whatever they call it. So that way no processing is done by the AV10. It is merely just a means of passing through that analog signal to the front, left, and right speakers. So I can listen to some SACDs, DVD audio, as well as regular CDs, and it sounds way better than streaming ever could. I'm telling you. Moving down, we have the Aperion Audio E2 Energy Amplifier. This is the 2-channel amplifier. And since this particular amp is the furthest away from the AV10, I already had some SVS XLR cables on hand that were, I think, 10 feet. So yeah, SVS XLR cables going from here to the AV10, and then the speaker wire connecting to the front left and front right coming from this amp. Coming over here, we've got the Starke Fiera 8 amp. This is powering all 8 height channels that I have. The 6 Dolby Atmos / DTS:X height channels, plus the center height and voice of God for RO3D. I really like this amp because it's actually very light. It is Class D and it accepts both XLR and RCA connections. So that is very helpful. Coming from a music background, whenever possible, I always use XLR connections. I love how it's balanced and I just don't have to worry about any interference. All the way down here is the Aperion Audio E7 Energy Amp. 7-channel amp, if you didn't already gather that. So since this one is powering the front left and front right, this 7-channel amp is powering the rest of my ear level speakers. The front wides, the center, the surrounds, and the surround backs. Very powerful Class AB amp. This one's also Class AB. All right. And the thing that's driving this entire system is the Marantz AV10 preamp processor. The reason I bugged Marantz for many months to finally get this one is the fact that I have all of these speakers. And now I have every single one hooked up, which is such a cool thing that I've been able to do. So that way I can switch between native Dolby Atmos or DTSX and native RO3D mixes, or even pop in a native Atmos or DTSX track and use the Aromatic Up mixer to get a full 13.1 RO mix going. Without having to change anything in the software, I have all 17 speakers connected and 4 subwoofers connected, and I can control them all, set it and forget it. It's really cool. And to connect all of the 8 height speakers and the 7 ear level speakers, I just have these color-coded XLR cables that I got from Amazon. It was like a 10-pack, I think. I think I got a couple of 10-packs over the years because those were 3 feet. So obviously 3 feet is fine since I don't really have far to travel between the AV10 and these particular amps. But obviously with this amp, I had to use my longer XLR cables. So yeah, just a basic Amazon purchase of a 10-pack of color-coded XLR cables. Nothing too fancy. It's an XLR cable. They just work. And they're tough as nails too. And beyond that, this is the video source. This is the Sony BRAVIA 8 OLED TV, 77-inch. It is on a TV stand that I got from Amazon. Yeah, pretty slick. I wanted to have some type of stand like that so I could have it pressed up against the wall and be able to have the center channel in front of it and have these racks below it as well. So there you have it, folks. There's the tour of this particular office theater setup. 8 height channels, 1 big old 77-inch TV. At some point, I do hope to have a projector and a projector screen, which will go in front of everything so that the speakers are behind the screen because I want it to be an acoustically transparent screen. But that is proving to be harder than I thought to track down, or at least with a company that wants to work with me. I do have a Valerian long throw projector in the works, but before I can get that, I need an acoustically transparent screen to go along with it. It's the screen that's the holdup currently, because this theater is just over 9 feet wide, about 9 feet 4 inches wide. So that's not very wide. So I can't have some ginormous, 120-inch projector screen because that's just too big. And that does it, I think. I think I covered everything. I have reached out to Dirac, and hopefully they will be getting me a license soon so I can check out Dirac in here, which would be very cool because I did run Odyssey Multi-Q XT32, which comes with the Marantz, but not that impressed. So I want to get some Dirac up in here and also maybe do some manual calibrations too with REW and UMIC 1. Maybe, possibly, I can compare and contrast the different room correction softwares out there. That would be nice. No guarantees though. That might be harder to pull off than I think. All right, so there you have it. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, whatever. I really hope to get into comparing native RO3D versus native Atmos, because I do now have quite a few discs with both of those immersive audio formats on them. And like I said, fingers crossed that I can get those Dirac licenses to let you know if it's worth it. It's $600 to get the full bandwidth direct live and bass control. But at the same time, that's a lot cheaper than getting a brand new, really expensive AVR or preamp processor and external amps, etc. So yeah, I hope to let you know if that makes a really big improvement. Like I said, I wasn't that impressed with the built-in Odyssey room correction that I ran. Stay tuned for 2025. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on in this office that I'm really excited about, and I'm really excited to share with you. So with that being said, please be kind to each other out there. You never know what anybody's going through, so it just makes sense to just be kind to everyone you come in contact with. Don't just watch TV and movies, experience them with a good old-fashioned surround sound system, because that's way better than any TV speakers. And of course, appreciate sound design.